Hello and welcome to our virtual open evening for October 2020. My name is Mr. Goodenough and I have the great privilege of being the principal here at Park House School. Hopefully I can still give you a flavour of what the school is like. Obviously in an ideal world we'd be doing this live and we'd be able to meet. And who could have predicted a year ago that I'd be recording this from my home office and having to share a PowerPoint presentation with you, but not able to have that kind of conversation we would all love to have in person. So hopefully lots of you make the choice to come to Park House and we will meet in person as of September 2021. But as I say, hopefully this afternoon I can give you a flavour of what the school is like. So I'm going to share some information around the academic side of school, the pastoral side of school, and some of the extracurricular provision that the school has. Now, I won't be able to cover everything, but hopefully the rest of the portal that the video is hosted on will share lots and lots of information about departments and some of the other information around the logistics of the school day and the uniform and the like. But if this doesn't answer all of your questions, then please do get in touch and we can clarify anything we need to via email or telephone call, because what we want is for you, both you, the young people making a decision, but also parents, to really have all the information necessary to make a positive choice to come to us. We think we're a great school and hopefully we can share that with you this afternoon. But as I say, any questions we don't answer, just let us know and we will deal with those later before the end of October. So I'm going to switch over to a presentation now, so just bear with me a second. Okay. So one of the things which is really important to know about Park House is something that I'm already very proud of and something I know the school has a reputation for and is certainly a proud history of, and that's that we are unapologetically values-led in our approach to education. Now, what that means is that we talk to young people all the time about the really important characteristics and qualities that we believe not just make a successful student or a successful member of staff, but actually set you up to be a successful, productive and excellent member of society thereafter. So these are those values. The first one is just around excellence and trying to be the best we can be in everything. But in terms of the detail of what that means, it's about respect, it's about kindness, it's about the quality of relationships that we all share, both in school but also out of school. And it's about talking to the young people about why that matters and how much that matters, and also the benefits that we get from being that way, but also that everyone has from a community that does those things. Similarly, my view certainly, and I know the view that's shared by all staff and students in the school currently, is that fairness, inclusivity, access, equality of access and fair treatment is absolutely at the top of our agenda. And again, this is relevant not both in school, just in school, sorry, but also in the wider world. We know that there are injustices. We know that there are things in the world which we would all like to change if we had the power. And we talk to young people about how you can make those changes and why you should, and how you can use your voice and be successful in making the world a better place, actually, not just the community around you. And then thirdly, ambition. Ambition to be successful. And that's not just about the top grades. That's not just about academic achievement or being, the very best in sport. That is about success, however you measure it. It's about progress. It's about being better one day than the last, and having ambition to do that. Not necessarily the ambition to be, the top of everything, to be to be an MD or a CEO, or to be prime minister, or to go to the moon, or, to be the best, sports person you can. It's about just that ambition that says every day I'm going to be slightly better than I was yesterday, and I'm going to work really hard to do that. And then finally, it's about thinking of new ways, new exciting ways to do things, and being courageous, taking risks with our learning, taking risks with the decisions that we make to progress, and trying to be as innovative as possible in those ways. And those are values that we try and live as a school in terms of the way that we teach, the opportunities that we give young people, but also we talk to young people about being those things themselves. So, as I said, unapologetically values-led in terms of how we educate young people. And this is why, really, which is that every single young person who comes to us is an individual. And that whilst there's an awful lot of pressure on young people to conform, to be a certain way, and actually pressure on all of us to do that, for us, education is about nurturing a talent, nurturing individual talents and passions, the ambitions that young people may have, and providing the opportunity, whatever those things are, whatever path that students are likely to follow, whatever they would like to do. It's giving them the tools, giving them the confidence, giving them that courage to grow those things in whatever direction they think possible. And as Maya Angelou said, unless you try to do something different, unless you try and escape from the norm and not just fit in, and unless you nurture those individual talents, passions and ambitions, you will never know how amazing you can be. And that for us is at the heart of what we say to young people, and at the heart of an education at Parkhouse School. Something else which is dear to our hearts is that, of course, we're members of a reasonably sizable community within school of sort of 1,300 young people and staff, but that actually it's important that all young people, and I think in an increasingly globalized world where we're interconnected in many, many ways, that actually being outward facing, thinking of others, seeing how we fit into a larger picture is something which is also at the core of Parkhouse's thinking. That the images you see here, the right hand one is a Skype session with our partner school in Japan, which is a really great link for the school, and on the left is a link to a South African school who again gives us a really outward facing view, and an education that's about thinking of where we fit into a global community, not just our own. But of course, there are some fundamentals about school too. Achievement is key to lots of people, about securing a future beyond school. And achievement historically has been really strong. 71% of all grades are what we would call top grades. So A-star to be at A level or grades 7 to 9 at GCSE, and that's an average taken over the last 4 years. That 71% of all exams taken in the school result in grades in those top levels. So that's something that we're really, really proud of. But something that we're equally proud of is that whatever students' prior attainment is when they come to us, whether it be low, mid or high prior attaining, which are the bands the government uses to represent Key Stage 2 achievement, whatever band students are in, they regularly achieve well above the national average. So students at Parkhouse are achieving better than the national average, or better than most students nationally, regardless of their starting point. And that's something that, as someone who is passionate about comprehensive education and a school that is passionate about being comprehensive, is really, really important to us, that however students come to us, they will make great progress, and that's really key. A couple of other specific bits there. The school was recently named in the top 15% nationally for A-level results, which is a real strength. And in the past, the school, in the recent past, the school was commended by the Schools Minister Nick Gibb for being in the top 100 state schools in terms of improvement at GCSE. So some real strengths around the academic side of the school, something which we never rest on our laurels about, something which they can always do better. Students deserve us to be thinking about this at all times, because we know that that great achievement does by choice for young people, and therefore it is it's an incredibly important aspect of what school means to everyone. But of course, there's wider success than just the grades on the page. It's what that success means in real terms. And this is something that we're incredibly proud of, which is that, the vast majority, depending on the year, it's usually somewhere between 70 and 80% of students get their first choice university, which is incredibly strong, and something that we're really, really proud of. And again, it's not just for those young people going on to university at the kind of the top levels of achievement. Actually, 99% of all the young people who leave us in whatever year, whether it be at the end of Key Stage 4 or 5, 99% of them will go on to some form of employment, education or training. And it's worth caveating that slightly, which is that some students disappear for whatever reason, and it's actually hard to get their data. So it's actually very likely that it's all students. We just can't guarantee that because we don't have the data. So and that's about that individualized provision, where we ensure that young people have the next steps not just sorted in their minds, but also they have the ability and the resources as a result of what we give them to go on to those positive choices when they leave us. And then there's individual or specific success. Just to give you some examples of that, these young men here won not one but two national technology awards for some really innovative digital technology that they designed around providing clean water, specifically in Africa. And you may have seen in the very local press very recently, two Year 8 girls have also won one, and one was highly commended in an award from the Great Exhibition Online, which moved online due to lockdown, and they won some awards around environmental engineering and plotting the future of a much more environmentally friendly world. So lots and lots of success on an individual level. Large groups of students entered into the Duke of Edinburgh every year, in terms of both bronze, silver awards, which happen in the main school, and then gold in the sixth form. Really, really important life skills taught to young people en masse in something which we really value and something which I know students get an awful lot out of in terms of a holistic education. They're learning group work skills, they're learning individual skills, as well as the practical sides of kind of map skills and not getting washed away in a tent, which happened last year, certainly to most Duke of Edinburgh students. But something which again is at the heart of what we think is important, and something which we will always strive to provide to as many young people as want to be involved. The sports success at Parkhouse is too numerous to list. It's county champions, it's year group champions, it's county cups, national competition success across a myriad of sports. There's just a flavour of two there, but sport is obviously at the heart of what we do at Parkhouse. Not just because the school was an ex-sports college and that therefore it was we have the facilities for it. It's also about personal development for us too. It's about every student, whether they represent one of those teams in terms of that high level success in sport, or whether it's really just the values of sport and teamwork, and communication and dedication and practice and all of those really important skills that sport can do for young people, is something which again we will always place at the centre of what we think is important. Something else which you think is important is, as I mentioned earlier, that young people are really using their voice. Young people have really impressive understanding of the world, and they have really powerful voices, as proven recently with all sorts of young people becoming much more active in terms of environmental activism particularly, and that's something which we will always push young people to be involved in as much as possible and to improve as much as possible. The young people we spoke to will always tell us that public speaking is a significant fear for them, is something that they wish to develop, and something that we therefore make really, really important to help young people do, because we know that it builds confidence, and it's not just for its own sake in terms of being engaged in a debate or giving a speech. It's actually again about personal qualities and the ability to express yourself in a really meaningful, coherent way, and to have impact on the world as a result of what you've achieved there. In the classroom, again, it's really important to us that individual approach to education, that inclusive view that we have, is carried over into the curriculum itself. So choice is at the heart of our curriculum, and making sure that young people have options that are suitable for them. And that means we have individual pathways, both at Key Stage 4 and 5, for young people to follow, whether they be vocational options in things like health and social care, or coaching, or whether they be day release or short-term college courses where young people can go and use facilities at Newbury College and further afield that maybe we can't offer due to the kind of physical infrastructure. That happens too, whether it be our on-site sports academies and of course the BTECs at level 2 and 3, alongside that more traditional academic offer of GCSEs and A-levels. For us, we're constantly looking how to broaden our curriculum to make sure that young people have the very, very best options, and are able to choose from a broad range at all times, and that's important to us. And part of that is about having the 3-year Key Stage 4 for us. That enables students to maximise their outcomes. They have longer to work on the GCSEs in particular, but that we're really, really careful to balance that with Year 7 and 8 with the widest opportunities possible, and so that in Year 9 it's not about a narrowing of a curriculum, it's about a deeper Key Stage 4 curriculum whilst retaining the ability to offer that breadth in Key Stage 3 too. And ultimately, it means that students can choose up to 4 A levels if they're students who we think that will be successful for. And similarly, if students do, the individual sciences and the most possible GCSEs they can, then ultimately there's up to 11 GCSEs that the young people could follow. No, I'm a massive believer in this, and I think I can speak for all staff at Park House when I say that something which we know is important is that happy young people achieve better and well-supported young people achieve better, but that also being happy and well-supported is a fundamental necessity for young people in school, regardless of whether it has any impact on their academic achievement. This is just a right of young people to come to a place that looks after their well-being in this way. And we have, I believe, a really superb pastoral provision in the school. We have a student manager who has has no teaching commitments, and therefore is available all day, every day to rectify issues, talk to young people, make sure they're supported, and any barriers to their learning are removed. Similarly, the wellbeing officer, also no teaching commitment, and is available all day, every day in school to talk about specific issues and that kind of supportive conversation that young people need from time to time. They both have their own office in a very private space, so students can go and have those conversations. Similarly, we have on-site school counsellors. We have 2 part-time school counsellors on site, and then we actually buy into a local authority service as well of another full set of hours of school counsellors. So we have sufficient provision for students to be able to get that kind of support if there are things that they want to talk about in an ongoing way with a regular visit potentially to a school counsellor. And of course, sitting underneath that are the heads of learning, which apply in every year group, whose responsibility is both pastoral and academic to supporting the young people in their year group, and they will be able to refer young people into the aforementioned people, counsellors, wellbeing officers, to get that kind of support, as well as offering that day-to-day support themselves from a pastoral perspective. We also have, as you can see, an on-site school health nurse. So if young people are not feeling very well, or if they have particular health concerns they want to talk about, then the health nurse is available for those needs too. Something which is quite unusual these days in secondary schools, and something which I'm really pleased I've inherited, are 3 members of the senior leadership team who are entirely dedicated to pastoral and inclusion and safeguarding work. So that is quite unusual these days. It tends to be that senior leaders have a mixed bag between academic and pastoral. I think the system we have works really well here, which is that myself and a handful of the senior leaders are focused on achievement and various other things. And then there's a group of senior leadership whose responsibility entirely is pastoral, and that's really, really helpful for us because it enables us to make sure that there is always someone of the level necessary to make difficult decisions and to deal with students at the very highest level. So that's important for us too. We have the Wellbeing Centre on site, which is about physical fitness and mental wellbeing that comes from that, and that's a facility available to young people. And we have, and sometimes this is run by the wellbeing officer, sometimes the nurse, sometimes whole school, regular activities, that is about educating young people, but also supporting and improving both their physical and their mental wellbeing. Because, as I said, for us, happy, healthy, supported young people just do better at school, and it's also an entitlement for them. So aside from the academic and the pastoral, there's what we call the other half of school, and this is very much about the extracurricular provision, something which Park House has a great reputation for, and something which we know we will really fight to make even better and to continue being a real strength of the school. Whether it be the 40+ trips and visits that go out each year to things like the team building exercises you can see here, cultural experiences, overseas visits to Iceland, to Washington, to France, too numerous to list the trips, the theatre visits, a real strength of the school, and ensuring that young people have access to cultural, physical experiences, which we know are going to equip them not just for life, but also give them the enjoyment of school that comes beyond the classroom too, which is really integral to a memorable and a successful school life. As I've already mentioned, we have 20 plus sports which occur in the school, whether that be in PE lessons or also extracurricular beyond the classroom. As you can see the picture there, we have access to the Wellbeing Centre I've mentioned, which is about individual fitness. Essentially, it's like a gym within school, but of course then we have extracurricular, rugby and football, and netball and rounders, a dance. The list is too numerous, but again, it's at the very heart of what we do in school. Something else which Park House is now well known for and that I'm really pleased about is we're about to enter our 17th year of the Encompass Dance Festival. Roughly 100 young people, girls and boys, just performing the most amazing show. Every single year, that's something which is something which gives young people something different to lots of schools. That dance provision is a real strength in the school, and something that we're really, really proud of. Something else which is a growth area but in every school, but something which I think we're already particularly successful at, but that we're always looking for ways to improve, is around STEM learning. So science, technology, engineering and maths. How do we take advantage of where we are in the Thames Valley and all of the facilities around us to really give young people an insight into that world? It's the biggest growth area for jobs in our economy, but it's also something which, regardless of whether it ends up being a future for young people in terms of their career, is something which needs to be at the heart of any good education, because of the nature that the increasingly digitized, connected world that we live in. Having an understanding of technology is a real benefit to all young people. So we're very fortunate to have a Digital Futures, which gives young people lots of opportunities to work on particular projects. We have engineering challenges with various companies. IBM come and visit every year. AWE also come and visit to provide those kind of challenges for young people. And those are off timetable, full day experiences, which again are the things that young people find really memorable about education beyond the classroom, which for us are really important. And of course, we tap in, as I said, to those other facilities, those other companies and organisations around us that enable us to really make STEM education something which is really important to us. And then, of course, finally, there's the performing arts side of school, which hopefully you know that Park House has a great reputation for. Absolutely stunning drama and musical performances featuring hundreds of young people across every year group. And just giving students that extra outlet for that kind of creativity and that enjoyment. They regularly sell out 3 full auditoriums, 3 nights running, and as I say, give young people that access to something which is entirely different to the classroom, but equally valuable, and something which helps build that confidence, gives them that ability to use that voice and to have that experience of performing in front of an audience. And it's just a completely and utterly memorable experience for those involved, as well as those of us that have the privilege of seeing them every year. So hopefully that gives you a real flavour of the school. As I say, if you have any questions, if anything has come up which you feel you need to, a burning need for an answer to, then do drop me a line at the school. I'll be happy to talk to you, happy to answer any questions via email. And please do check out the rest of the portal. Lots of videos from our individual subjects and lots more information on there. And I really do hope to see you all in September 2021. Thank you.